Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the DCI number 4040. This is a roller latch, and in the world of roller latches, in the world of spring-loaded latches, there's all types. There's ball catches, roller latches, bullet catches, a variety of different sizes and shapes available, all really somewhat related to certainly the size of the door, the weight of the door that you are trying to keep in a secured position. Roller latches can come in different forms. You can order them in different formats or footprints. Everything from just something you'd mortise or chisel into the edge of a door to all the way up to a large mortise lock that incorporates a roller latch. Now, the 4040 by DCI is a variant or a derivative of the roller latch family for commercial doors. A very heavy nylon roller here that features adjustable spring power. But this model incorporates a stop, okay? So, where would you ever need a roller latch that would incorporate a stop? Well, a frame that doesn't have a stop. And that application really is... The only time I can think of that I see it is when I have center hung pivots, but the doors will be single acting, meaning they're going to only open in one direction and close in that opposite direction, but they won't swing back in. They won't be double acting, they'll be just single acting. Well, in order to use center hung pivots, generally you're going to find a cased opening frame. Not always, but you will. A cased opening frame obviously does not have any stops applied, but you need to keep that door. Let's say it's a closet door and it swings out, and you've got center hung pivots, and you have yourself a roller latch. You need to keep that door from coming back in. Otherwise, you'll damage the door and frame. The door may not be prepped to go in that sort of direction. So having a stop that incorporates the roller latch is a very typical application. You will see these installed at the header very commonly, where up into the header of the unit you're going to have all of this installed, and its strike plate will be mortised or generally semi-mortised or even surface mounted to the top of the door. But you'll also see it in the strike side of the door as well. I would like to install it into the strike side of the door so that where I have my handle trim, when I push and pull the door open and closed, I'm really putting the forces, directly to that roller latch that's there. And when you have it up at the top, you're going to have a small amount of flex involved in the door, to get that to move in. And, sometimes when you have center hung pivots and roller latches, you may have 8-foot tall doors, etc. The thing about putting it up at the header, which is nice, is it gets that projecting hardware out of the opening. So if you have your door and that door swings out, you're always going to have the projecting stop that will be in the opening. So putting it up at the top of the door gets it out of the way. And for all intents and purposes, out of view, you're not really even looking at it. So that's why you would use a 4040. Now, for typical roller latches, they're going to use the same basic platform or structure back here. What's really going to change is the faceplate design and then the strike plate design. But in this sense, from DCI, a roller latch is a roller latch is a roller latch, and then you just change the faceplate and strike to suit the application. It's still the same roller latch. These are intended to handle doors that are 3070 solid core 100-pound doors. The spring power, the projection of the roller, I should say, is adjustable, which then will increase or decrease the amount of force it takes to get that to push onto and pull off of the strike that's installed. Nice system in that regard, with these dual spring sort of concept. Okay. There you go. Now, this is going to include a very petite strike for installation onto the door. It has to go on the frame. It can't... You could install it on the door, I suppose. I've never seen it installed that way. I suppose that you could, if you were going to, have that installed, and you'd have to make an accommodation in the frame. This is always installed in the door. If you were going to install this This is always installed in the frame. If you're trying to install this onto the door, you'd have to go through some gyrations. You'd have to rabbet the edge of the frame to account for that. And I don't see the advantage of doing so. Really at all. I just don't see the advantage of attempting to think that through. It will come with screws, wood, machine combination screws. They'll work in either wood or metal doors. I'm sure that those are 832. Let's take some basic dimensional properties of this item, and then we're going to move into the installation instructions and machining of the item. Now, before we switch to the screen view and take a look at the dimensional properties and installation, let's take some dimensional properties first. So about 4 3/8 is the overall length of the faceplate. Overall width, it's about 1 7/16 inches. Overall dimension of the face of the stop, the overall, it's about 3/4 on the inside. The projection would be right at about, just heavy on 1/2 inch. Depth of the body itself, it's about 1 5/8 inches. This strike that they have is going to be about 2 1/4 by 1 1/8 inches. That is solid cast brass, is what that is. That's cast brass, as is, well, I don't know how this faceplate is made. It's definitely brass. I don't know if it's extruded. I don't know if it's extruded or cast. The strike is definitely cast. Adjustable roller stop. Okay, so whatever the method of manufacturing is, it's solid brass. Then you're going to have steel components down here, but not all of it. The springs will be steel. That backing plate is steel. This portion here that you see that holds the roller, that's brass as well. So let's switch to the screen view where we can take a closer look at this item. Okay, so this is the item that we're looking at here on the site, and here is the extended description. Adjustable roller latch with stop, heavy duty. It is. This would be considered heavy duty. Adjusted latch pressure without removing the roller latch from the door. There are types of roller latches that you have to remove the body from the door or the frame, wherever it's installed, but generally the door, to adjust that. And it is very common that residential caliber roller latches have to be removed from the door to adjust that. Can be installed on head frames or side jams. The angle face is manufactured of 3/16, there you go, solid cast brass or bronze, and equipped with door silencers to provide a combination door stop and roller latch. This is specified where a frame stop strip is not furnished or required. Used in gates, flush closet, storage doors, flush panel, etc. And this comes with the A strike, and that is available separately, and it is known as the A strike, where you then select the finish. So let's take a look at the product information first, and then we're going to dive into the machining. So this is the cut sheet, really, and this cut sheet basically serves as installation instructions as well. Okay, and this cut sheet shows all of the roller latches available from DCI, and there are actually 4 of them that are listed here, and really the body is the same on the business end. All of this is the same on this 4030 or the 4040 that we are looking at. All of the back end is the same. The faceplate changes. So there are 2 faceplates, the 4040 and the 4030. The 4030 is available with this standard strike that they have here, the 4030A strike. And then they have the 4030B strike, which would be this would be called like a full lip strike or a D strike. If you use your imagination, you can see why it's called the letter D. They have the B strike, which would be like the letter T, 2 3/4 tall T strike. And then the C strike, if you're installing it into a hollow metal frame, 4 7/8 height. So this one body, you can do 3 different strike preps. there is strike possibilities. With the 4040 we're looking at, there is only the A strike, or the full lip strike. Okay. All of the finishes, well, common finishes you can certainly do in this item. If we're looking at the DCI 4040, you can do it in US 10 for satin bronze, US 10B for oil rubbed bronze, US 26 for polished chrome, our 26D satin chrome, US 3 polished brass, US 4 satin brass, and that's it. Now, let's look back on the item we're looking at to the cut sheet. Now, it's this document that's called cut sheet currently, and we're going to change that to maybe template, because it's a template, really, is what it is. And really what they're giving us are dimensional properties, as we basically have gone over. And what they're giving us, in addition to the dimensions we've already talked about, is what they want you to prep the door for, really. And it's all here. Now, they're saying 4.5 inch. Now, when I measured that unit, it was a bit shy on 4.5. And I'm measuring it again on my desk, and yeah, I mean, I would say it's 4 7/16 is what it is. I'm not suggesting per se that you don't machine material until you have the hardware. However, there are certainly times when it's nice to, if you have the opportunity to have the hardware, you can measure it and then proceed accordingly. But nonetheless, they're saying 4.5 inch on this. So 4.5 inch is going to be the length or the height of the preparation in the edge of the door, 3/16 thick. And your body, so you're going to do two preparations on this. You are going to do a 4.5 inch long prep, okay, that is the width, that is the overall width of 1.5 inches. That's why they have the word mortise here. That is 3/16 deep, 3/16 mortise, okay, because you're going to make that flush with the edge of the door, okay. That's the plate preparation. What you're going to do first, however, is the body preparation. And they're giving that to us as well. So the body preparation is 2 1/4 in length, and then it's going to be 7/8 wide and 1 3/4 deep. I would do the 2 1/4 long, 7/8 wide, 1 3/4 deep prep first, and then I would do my 3/16 by 1.5 inch by 4.5 inch. Okay, and then of course our strike requires a 3/16 deep mortise. They should probably have the word mortise there. By 2 1/4 length, and they're showing that you're going to flush that to the face of the door, is what they're showing. Therefore, the center line of the strike and the center line of the roller latch need to be on the same center line, okay? So you're going to need to, the width of the strike, they are showing the back edge as 1/2 inch. I'm measuring the overall width of the strike at about 1 1/8 inches, I had said earlier. The important thing is, I would, the 1 1/8 inches here, so you know that you're going to be 5/8 from the face of the door to the center of the strike to the center of the body, as it is in the frame. Okay, so using all of that, you can translate that information accordingly. So if you know where you're positioning it in your header or your jam, you can then work the math to get to where you're going to locate locate your item. And that's obviously measuring from the face of the bumper that's seen here. Now, the height. Now, what I was about to say was the height at which you install this, or the back set, so to speak, from the edge of the door, you're going to want to take into mind, if you're putting it onto the strike jamb, you're probably going to want to mimic the height of other locks that are installed on the project and simply match the center line of the strike from either the floor up or however you're going to reference that. If you're installing it into the header, what I would be thinking about is, how far away from the edge of the door do I want to be? You've got 4.5 inch, you're going to have a sizable prep, and I would think you're going to want to avoid mortising into the stiles of the door. So depending on the thickness, I might keep this well away from the stile. Let's say that those stiles are 1 inch. I probably would add at least 1/2 inch to that, and I would then start my preparation. So I'm probably going to be every bit of 4 inch from the edge of the door to the center line, something in that range. I would want it as close to the outside edge as possible, but nonetheless, you do have to determine where you're going to locate that. And I would inspect the door's top rail before I just decided on a location for that. Okay. Easy stuff. Let's switch back to the camera view and conclude this video. Now, the name DCI is synonymous with good quality trim and auxiliary hardware. They do not have a very broad offering of trim and auxiliary hardware, but what they have is very good quality. And I use DCI products in many instances. I keep some of it on hand. This is generally a stock item for us, certainly in the common finishes. What's nice about DCI is they stock this material as well. They have some really responsive, prompt, reliable, predictable shipping turnaround times. Their customer service people are just, top rate as well. Now, if you know the name DCI at all, you probably do because of their Panex series of exit devices. You'll see their exit devices in specifications. Now, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the DCI products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. And I would certainly suggest that you review that full product catalog. If you are working in trim and auxiliary hardware, I would certainly recommend reviewing their flush bolts. Manual, automatic, semi-automatic. They have a series of automatic flush bolts, that constant latching flush bolts that are very nice. And then, of course, roller latches, door stops, floor style, wall-mounted style, standard hold open, traditional design, gooseneck design, etc., etc., etc. They're just a straightforward, no-nonsense company, and I seek to insert them into the projects where they are very best suited. And good quality product, good value, and good lead times is a criteria where I look to use DCI most certainly. If you have any questions on the 4040 roller latch or any other DCI product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.